This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from March 18th to March 20th of 2022. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to TMTV, and welcome to another USMNT Abroad episode where every Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend, and every Friday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the midweek. Now, obviously, this Friday we won't have the USMNT Abroad series because we do have the U.S. men's national team game, which we'll be covering all of them. And this is one thing that I want to announce here. During the Panama game in Orlando, I will be at the match, and we will be doing a giveaway at the match of this t-shirt right here. So, if you want to win a t-shirt, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, as we will be likely posting there how you can win it. And I believe it'll be over 30 t-shirts, so the odds of you winning it are pretty high. You know, I'm pretty much becoming like Mr. Beast from YouTube, but the broke version, right? He gives cars, I give t-shirts. And yeah, it's a pretty big week. We will have the interview with Obed Vargas from Seattle Sounders being released this week here in the channel, probably on Wednesday. And we'll also have the U.S. men's national team versus Mexico preview coming out tomorrow, this Tuesday. It's going to be a special one. We have two special guests for this one. All right, everyone, so we're going to get started the episode right away. Don't forget to smash that like button or smash that dislike button, whichever one you choose. I am totally fine with it. And down in the description, don't forget to check out the Tactical Yanks podcast that we started last week with Pete from 11 Yanks. The next episode drops this week. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. Let's play the intro, and let's get it started. Okay, so let's start with the performance updates, and we'll start with Christian Pulisic from Chelsea and Folarin Balogun from Middlesbrough, as Chelsea and Middlesbrough faced each other over the weekend in the FA Cup. On Saturday, Pulisic started and played 68 minutes for Chelsea during their 2-0 win over Middlesbrough in the FA Cup quarterfinals. Now, Chelsea advanced and will be facing Crystal Palace in the semifinals. For this match, Christian Pulisic played as a left winger, mostly on a 4-3-3 formation that at times would kind of look as a 4-2-3-1 since Mason Mount will be playing so much high up the field. But yeah, Pulisic was usually on the left wing and Ziyech was mostly in the right wing. To be completely honest, Pulisic did not really have a good game, just being frank with y'all, you know, which raises the question, why does he struggle against an English championship side like Middlesbrough, but light up Champions League teams every single knockout round? Now, for this match, the dual national Folarin Balogun started for Middlesbrough and played 74 minutes as a striker in a front two, and he also had a quiet game. But to be fair, he didn't have much service, so it's kind of tough to judge his performance. Now, as for stats, Pulisic for this one had 31 touches, 32% passing accuracy, won 2 out of 6 ground duels, won 1 out of 3 aerial duels. He also lost possession 11 times. Now, Balogun had 23 touches only, and 82% passing accuracy, and really not much of anything else. Maybe saying he had a quiet game was an understatement. All right, so now we're going to move on to Gio Reyna. But before we do Gio Reyna, let me just fix one thing I just said. I said 32% passing accuracy for Pulisic. He actually had 72. Quite a mistake, but I'm just helping Dustin here with the editing. Now let's go to Giovanni Reyna from Borussia Dortmund. On Sunday, Gio Reyna started and went to distance for Dortmund, playing a full 90 minutes during their 1-1 draw with Cologne. Now, Reyna played as a central midfielder in a 4-3-3 formation for Dortmund, showing that he's more than capable of playing there, and hopefully we see Greg give him a shot now that Weston Mckennie won't be available this camp. To be fair, overall, Gio had a quiet game, but it was fantastic to see him being able to go a full 90 minutes with no injuries. He is healthy and good to go for the United States. Understand that when I say quiet game, it doesn't mean he had a bad game. He did just fine. Seemed like he was the only Dortmund player trying to control the tempo of the game. Everyone else seemed just going very direct towards the goal and always on a hurry. Yeah, it was kind of weird. It seemed like everyone was just like on a hurry to score for Dortmund, while Giovanni Reyna was playing on a different tempo, trying to hold off the game, control the midfield. And it wasn't working well. Dortmund just wasn't playing well. As for stats, for this one, Giovanni Reyna had 59 touches, 78% passing accuracy, 3 key passes, won 6 out of 13 ground duels, and he was also fouled 3 times. Next up is Sargent Dest from Barcelona. So Sargent Dest is injured and will be out for at least 3 weeks. Oh well, he was getting good momentum for Barcelona and Xavi's trust, so this is a buzzkill, right, as he's getting Xavi's trust, but what can we do about it? Off topic, sorta. What was that El Clasico? Barcelona just ran over Real Madrid 4-0 at Madrid. Yeah, so much for saying this is the worst Barcelona ever. I mean, they kind of bounced back pretty well lately with Xavi. Or should I say, under Xavi, now that he's the manager. Next up is Tyler Adams from RB Leipzig. On Sunday, Tyler Adams stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Leipzig during their 0-0 draw with Eintracht Frankfurt. As I've been reporting for weeks, ever since the last US men's national team camp and Tyler Adams returning from injury right after it, his minutes have tanked for Leipzig. The good is he will have fresh legs for the United States. Now, before we do it by position, let's talk about Jesse Marsch. Let's quickly go through Jesse Marsch as Marsch madness continues. Leeds United got another crazy late win with a goal scored at the 91st minute. Raul Jimenez did get a red card for Wolves as they were up 2-0 against Leeds, and the game ended 3-2 for Leeds United. Very important win for Marsch and Leeds, their second win in a row as they get further from the relegation zone. So thank you, Raul Jimenez. We truly appreciate your help to Jesse Marsch and Leeds. Now we're going to do it by positions, and we'll start with the goalkeepers, and the first one will be Zach Steffen from Manchester City. On Sunday, Steffen was back in the field for Manchester City, playing a full 90 minutes during their 4-1 win over Southampton. So the goal scored by Southampton was an own goal from Laporte, but Steffen was very weird in that play. He came out of the goal super slow on a 1v1 situation. The Southampton player goes away from the goal to cross it in, and Steffen just kind of stayed in the middle of nowhere. And then, yeah, Laporte knocked in his own goal, so it's not really on Steffen, but it was just not good from him as well. Aside from that, Steffen did make some key saves and had a pretty good game. It's just that little moment just caught my eye. That goal was just very weird what was going through Zach Steffen's mind. Next up is Ethan Horvath from Nottingham Forest. On Sunday, Horvath started and went the full 90 minutes for Nottingham Forest during their 1-0 loss to Liverpool in the FA Cup quarterfinals. To be fair, it would have been much more if it was not for Ethan Horvath, but a loss to Liverpool was very much expected. Horvath made a massive save on a 1-1 situation against Firmino when the match was still 0-0 in the first half. As for the game, Horvath has had 5 saves, 4 saves in the box, 1 punch, 52 touches, and a 51.7% passing accuracy. So due to match sharpness and maybe being more reliable at the moment, I would actually start Ethan Horvath for the US men's national team camps coming up, all right? It's good to have Steffen back, but I would actually start Horvath for these matches. Okay, now we got to move forward in the video. Let's go to the center backs, and let's start with John Brooks from Wolfsburg. On Sunday, Brooks started and played 88 minutes for Wolfsburg during their 2-0 loss to Bayern Leverkusen. You know, Brooks, the former center back for the US men's national team. While Greg is there, he is done with us. That's the best way to put it. But I'll tell you one thing. He will be in the Nations League roster from what I heard. But what I mean by done is on the most meaningful competition of them all, which is the World Cup. Brooks was subbed off right after Bayern Leverkusen got a 1-0 lead at the 86th minute. And then they scored right after Brooks left their second goal for this 2-0 win. Brooks played as a left center back in a back three. Next up is Chris Richards and Justin Che from Hoffenheim in Bundesliga. So we're still staying in Germany. On Saturday, Chris Richards was still not available for Hoffenheim as he's still returning from injury. However, Justin Che started off on the bench and came in at the 77th minute for Hoffenheim during their 3-0 loss to Hertha Berlin. Yes, he came in the game when Hertha Berlin already had a 3-0 lead. Regardless, congratulations to Justin Che for making his Bundesliga debut at age 18. Very rare for an 18-year-old center back to get minutes in Bundesliga. It's not easy, especially for that position. Now let's talk about Eric Palmer-Brown from Tra. I keep butchering their name, or maybe I got it right. But Eric Palmer-Brown is in the United States men's national team camp, so let's talk about him. On Friday, Eric Palmer-Brown started and went the full 90 minutes for Tra during their 1-1 draw with Saint-Etienne. Now, Palmer-Brown had a solid game overall. The only issue was he did commit the PK that led to Saint-Etienne tying the game. As for the game, Eric Palmer-Brown had 4 clearances, 1 block shot, 5 interceptions, 2 tackles, 1 PK committed, won 2 out of 5 ground duels, won 3 of all 3 of his aerial duels, had 44 touches and a 64% passing accuracy. The touches were low because they were not much in possession in this game. Oh, and yes, one of my friends was at this game. That's why we got the pictures from the stadium. I personally was not there. Now, Matt Miazga from Deportivo Alavés, and he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes again for Deportivo Alavés in La Liga. So, just like Diego Lainez, they should honestly both go to MLS. And more specifically, Matt Miazga and Diego Lainez should probably go to the same MLS club. It would be pretty cool, if you ask me, and probably good for both of them. Now Mark McKenzie from Genk. On Sunday, McKenzie was back from injury for Genk and he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes during their 3-1 loss to Club Brugge. The last center back I want to talk about here is Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic. On Saturday, CCV started and went the full 90 minutes for Celtic during their 4-0 win over Ross County. I really hope he does get a transfer to the Premier League next season, as he does deserve that challenge and maybe one day he can get an opportunity with the United States. Actually, with the US men's national team, he kind of deserves one right now and has for the past 6 months. Yeah, and maybe he'll get it during Nations League in June. But with that said, everyone, now let's get a quick word from our sponsor. I know many of you have been asking me why Believe. Believe is the company that helped us get the sponsor. That's all I wanted to say. Now let's bring in NordVPN and thank you to our sponsor. Tired of having big tech collecting all your data and spy on you? Well, our sponsor might have the solution to that. NordVPN is the world's best VPN service, offering fast connectivity, most servers, and next-generation encryption to make sure that everything you do online stays secure. Plus, you can use NordVPN on all your computer and devices no matter the operating system. With NordVPN's unlimited bandwidth, you never have to worry about a slow connection either. And plans start at under $4 per month. So grab your exclusive NordVPN deal right now by going to nordvpn.com/Believe. That is Believe as in BLEAV. Use the code for 70% off on your NordVPN plan, plus an additional free month. It's also risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. So again, thank you NordVPN for sponsoring the channel. Next up on the list are the fullbacks, and we'll start with Anthony Robinson, aka Jedi, and Tim Ream from Fulham. Fulham did not play this weekend. Good for us, as Jedi gets some good rest. We might need him to play all 3 games this upcoming camp. The next fullback is Reggie Cannon from Boavista. On Sunday, Cannon started and played a full 90 minutes for Boavista as a right back during their 1-0 loss to Porto in Liga NOS. Now, Brian Reynolds stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Kortrijk over the weekend. Now let's talk about Gioacchini from Borussia Mönchengladbach. On Friday, Scally stayed on the bench for Gladbach during their entire match. Well, the entire match never actually finished. The game was interrupted and abandoned halfway through the second half after the assistant ref was hit by an object thrown by the crowd. We have seen this happen a lot in Europe. If you guys remember, I reported this several times on Olympique Marseille games early in the season. Manchester United fans throwing bottles at Diego Simeone after they got knocked out in the Champions League. It's not just CONCACAF or CONMEBOL issue. It's just idiotic fan syndrome, and you know, these so-called fans should just not be allowed in stadiums ever again. Simple as that. It's really not an issue in CONCACAF or CONMEBOL. It happens way too much in UEFA as well. Now George Bello from Arminia Bielefeld. On Saturday, Bello started and went the full 90 minutes for Arminia Bielefeld during their 4-0 loss to Mainz. I did not watch this game, but losing 4-0 to Mainz seems that probably everyone in the team played poorly. They are also now in 17th place and in the relegation zone. The last fullback that I want to talk about in this video is Jonathan Gomez from Real Sociedad B. On Saturday, Jonathan Gomez started and played 75 minutes for Real Sociedad B during their 3-1 loss to Mirandes in La Liga 2. Alright, that does it for the fullbacks, so let's move on to the midfielders, and let's start right away with Yunus Musah from Valencia, a player that will be very much needed this next camp for the United States. He will play a crucial role with Weston Mckennie being absent. On Saturday, Musah started and played 72 minutes for Valencia during their 1-0 win over Elche in La Liga. Musah played as a central midfielder in a 4-3-3 formation, and his game was kind of not a great performance. By I just mean not very good. I'm excited for Valencia versus Real Betis in the Copa del Rey final coming up next month. That is something interesting to look forward to. Now back to this match. Yunus Musah had 31 touches, 88% passing accuracy, won 1 out of 4 ground duels, lost 1 aerial duel that he had, and there's not much else to talk about here. Now the Brazilian-American Johnny Cardoso from Internacional. On Saturday, Johnny was subbed in the second half for Internacional during their 3-0 loss to Grêmio for the state championship semifinals first leg. The entire team was heavily criticized by losing the Grenal derby, including Johnny. Yeah, you know, even though I'm Brazilian-American, when Johnny underperforms, I tell you he underperforms. I do report on it because some people started to say, not on YouTube, but the Twitter tacticians essentially try to put the narrative that I wouldn't criticize Johnny just because he's a friend of mine and Brazilian-American. But yes, he underperformed. There you have it, on the Grenal, a very important derby in Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil. Yeah, pretty much what I'm saying is, unlike mainstream media, when I have to criticize a buddy of mine, I will. I'm not going to act like mainstream media. But let's move on to the video and now talk about Alan Sonora from Independiente. On Saturday, Alan Sonora started off on the bench and came in at halftime for Independiente during their 2-1 loss to Racing Club in Argentina. Now, the Venezia boys, Tanner Tessman and Gianluca Busio. On Sunday, Tessman and Busio start off on the bench for Venezia during their 2-0 loss to Sampdoria. Now, Tanner stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes, while Gianluca Busio came in at the 56th minute and got a yellow card for this one. Their situation in the Serie A is not good. They sit 3 points behind Cagliari, the first team outside of the relegation zone. The only good thing is Venezia has a game to play. The problem is they have lost the past 4 matches. Next up on the list is James Sands from Rangers. On Sunday, Sands started and played 64 minutes for Rangers during their 2-1 win over Dundee in the Scottish Premiership. Now, look, I did not watch this game, and I do have something good to say about it and one thing bad. So essentially, bad news and good news. I would ask you what you prefer, but I can't really do it while I'm recording. I personally prefer to usually start the bad news and then go to the good one, so that's what I'm going to do. So the bad is he was subbed off when they were down 1-0 and they managed to get a comeback, a win, without James Sands. Now that's the bad. The good, well, for starters, he started. That's already good. Also, if you do what the Twitter tacticians do and only look at stats, he looked okay. It was not bad. He had 59 touches, 83% passing accuracy, won 1 out of 3 ground duels, won 3 out of 4 aerial duels, and had 2 interceptions. Those are not bad numbers. So based off that, and someone that didn't watch the game, if you did, you can comment down below. It seems to me that he wasn't subbed off because of a bad performance. It was more of a tactical decision as they were trying to make a comeback and they had to put a more offensive player. The reason I say that is they sent in Kemar Roof, the Jamaican center forward, and, well, if he came in for Sands, Sands was playing as a 6, essentially, a dual pivot 6, and Kemar Roof is a center forward, so he wasn't really subbed off because he was playing bad. It was just a tactical decision to play a more offensive setup. So yeah, if you watched the game, comment down below because I didn't watch it. Now, Brenden Aaronson from RB Salzburg. On Sunday, Brenden was set to start for RB Salzburg, but was pulled off of the game prior to kickoff due to knee problems. At the time of this recording, we don't know how severe it is or if he's going to be out for a while or if it's just precaution, but there is good news inside of this bad news. There were reports confirming that Brenden Aaronson will still be in camp with the United States. Whether he'll be able to play or not, it remains to be confirmed. We don't know. Which comes to show how leaving qualification for the World Cup for the last few games can be overly dangerous. We should have learned this in the past cycle. Right now, we should have been in the same situation as Canada, but Greg's, need to play his favorites, and crazy rotations led to us being in the situation that we are right now. Sorry about this little rant. I just think all of this could have been avoided. But on a positive note, I still firmly believe that the United States will qualify to the World Cup. All right, so as reported by Tato Twelman, Brenden Aaronson is out of the U.S. men's national team camp. It just came out this morning. That's why we're updating you right now. He'll be out for 2 to 3 weeks with an MCL sprain. So another bad news for the U.S. men's national team. Now, Julian Green and Tim Tillman from Fürth in Bundesliga. On Saturday, Tim Tillman started and played 71 minutes for Fürth as he was subbed off for Julian Green during their 0-0 draw with Freiburg in Bundesliga. Now, Luca De La Torre from Heracles. On Friday, De La Torre started and went the full 90 minutes for Heracles during their 2-0 loss to Heerenveen in Eredivisie. For this match, Luca had 67 touches, 91% passing accuracy, 2 key passes, got 5 out of 5 long balls right, had 4 out of 4 successful dribbling attempts, won 7 out of 12 ground duels. Those are some pretty strong numbers. Now, Cole Bassett, also staying in the Dutch league, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes over the weekend as Feyenoord lost to Ajax 3-2. And this was one heck of a game. Ajax won with a late goal from Anthony. This was a great game to watch, I'm just saying. Next up is Dwayne Holmes from Huddersfield. On Saturday, Holmes started and played 69 minutes for Huddersfield during their 3-0 loss to Bournemouth. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the video. Now we're going to go to the forwards and we'll go very quickly through them. Let's start with Timothy Weah from Lille. On Saturday, Weah started for Lille and played 64 minutes during their 1-0 win over Nantes. Now, Weah left the match early due to getting a red card. So at the play, he does hit the ball first, but then he kind of scissors the opponent's leg right after. To me, I would have given a red card as well. He played as a right winger for this match. Not much to say in terms of his performance. It was not very good and it was not very bad. But since he got a red card, a fair red card in my opinion, his performance was overall bad. Now, Conrad de la Fuente, staying in France right now, Conrad de la Fuente didn't even make the bench for Olympique Marseille over the weekend. And as we reported a few weeks back, and we have been talking about this for a while, Sampaoli has been having issues with Conrad de la Fuente's professionalism. So the talent is there, but apparently the attitude is not. And if he doesn't fix that, he's never going to reach his potential. Next up is Ricardo Pepi from Augsburg. On Saturday, Pepi stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Augsburg during their 3-2 loss to Stuttgart in Bundesliga. Now, this was a terrible result for Augsburg against a direct rival in the relegation battle. But what's even worse for us US men's national team fans is that even though they needed a goal late in the game, they still did not sub in Ricardo Pepi, even though they had a sub, and they actually used a sub after Stuttgart got the 3-2 lead, but Pepi still didn't see the field. Augsburg also had a 2-1 lead throughout the second half, and they blew it. A terrible result. However, if you're an Augsburg fan, you should be a little bit optimistic because you currently sit one position out of the relegation zone with a match to play. Now, let's talk about a player that has been having a terrible season because of a terrible transfer that probably was led by his agent, from what I've heard. And that is Matthew Hoppe from Mallorca. On Sunday, Mallorca lost to Espanyol, and yes, you guessed it, Hoppe stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes. Also, Mallorca is in the relegation zone, and Hoppe still can't get minutes. This is very frustrating, and he can either stay and play La Liga 2 next season for them, or get a transfer to a lesser club and try to get minutes. He needs to get minutes, that's what I'm saying. Now, Josh Sargent, Norwich did not play over the weekend, so Sargent got rest this weekend, and he will probably get even more rest the next 2 weeks since he's not in the US men's national team camp. So next up is Chris Mueller and Christian Ramirez. Chris Mueller from Hibernian and Christian Ramirez from Aberdeen both play in Scotland. On Saturday, Ramirez started and played 87 minutes for Aberdeen, while Chris Mueller started off on the bench and came in at the 61st minute for Hibernian. As for the game, Aberdeen did get a 3-1 win over Hibernian in the Scottish Premiership. Last but not least, PFOC from BSC Young Boys in Switzerland. On Saturday, PFOC started and played 64 minutes for BSC Young Boys during their 2-1 loss to Zurich. Now, this was a crucial game if they wanted to keep any of their hopes alive of fighting for the league title, which they are the current champions. Now, Zurich has built a 17-point gap with this win with just 9 games left. So yeah, Young Boys have won the past 4 editions of the Swiss League, but it ain't happening this time. Not the 5th one, unfortunately. Alright everyone, that does it for this USMNT Abroad episode. This is the last one before the US men's national team camp. As I said, we will be doing live streams. We will be going to the Orlando game. We will be doing a vlog for that game as well. So if you meet up with me in Church Street, you might show up at the vlog as well. Also, don't forget to check out the Tactical Yanks podcast. The link is on the description, and leave a review as it truly helps me and Pete. And hit the like button before you leave this video. Thank you very much for watching everyone, and have a great day.